Senior Life Journeys presents Carol Howell's Let's Talk Dementia, a podcast designed to help caregivers find knowledge, power, hope, and smiles in their dementia caregiving journey. Welcome to Let's Talk Dementia. Here is your host, best-selling author, Carol Howell.
Hi, caregivers. I'm Carol Howell with Let's Talk Dementia. And today, we're going to talk about dementia. Wow, aren't you shocked to hear that? You know, there's a smarty in every crowd, isn't there? And it's my job just to make you giggle a little bit along the way. I got to adjust my clothes here and get more comfortable. Oh my, today we're going to talk about stigma and acceptance. You know, I think I've spent my life wondering if I was accepted in society and with friends at school and where I worked, and always worrying about what did my clothes look like, and, you know, did I have on the right this or the right that? Did my hair look like it was supposed to? And, you know, just always wanting to be accepted. The stigma for me was I've spent my life overweight, and I always worried about that. How do people look at me? I'm more and more as I age and get a couple years on me, I think, I just don't care. You know, I just don't care. You either like me or you don't. And, you know, I can't do a whole lot about it either way. So as long as I'm happy with me. But there is a huge stigma in relation to an Alzheimer's diagnosis. And that's what I wanted to talk with you about today. What your loved one may be experiencing in relation to the stigma in connection with their diagnosis and how other people treat them. And that's where I start getting a little bit upset with folks. It seems that when folks do admit to other folks that they have been diagnosed with dementia, they suddenly become deaf. And we feel like we've got to talk in this loud voice to them because now that they have Alzheimer's, they're deaf. Well, you know what? The sense of hearing most often is not affected by Alzheimer's. Just because you have Alzheimer's does not mean you're going to lose your hearing. If you're going to lose your hearing, it's because you've gotten older and it was going to happen whether you had Alzheimer's or not. So you don't got to scream at people. You know, my mom had a nurse on her hospice team that every time she walked into the room, her voice went up, I don't know how many decibels, but I'm like, my mama's not deaf, child. You do not need to yell at her, so don't do that. So people with Alzheimer's often experience that. They often realize that individuals are thinking they have an instant change in their cognitive abilities. You know, so you say, I've recently been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, then all of a sudden everybody thinks that you cannot do, you cannot function, you cannot be, and you do not remember anything. That's just not true. They think that all your memories all of a sudden, bang, they're all gone simply because yesterday you got the diagnosis. Well, folks, that's not true. It doesn't work like that, and we have to help the folks in our world that we associate with, that our loved one associates with, to understand that this is a gradual process. They haven't suddenly changed overnight. They haven't suddenly forgotten everything overnight. And they've not suddenly stopped being able to be who they were yesterday simply because those words were spoken. We feel like that folks can no longer participate in life. Okay, they've got an Alzheimer's diagnosis. We shouldn't invite them to go out to the dinner club. They won't be able to go. Or he's not want to go bowling or go to the ball game. He just got a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. We've got to let him sit at home in his chair and rot. You know, makes me so ill at people. We think that folks with Alzheimer's don't have a sense of humor, that we just need to coddle to them and be oh so very, very sweet and kind and lovey-dovey, and don't say anything that might be the least bit off color. You should have spent some time around my mama. She was perfect at that. They're not going to get a joke. Don't tell them anything funny. No, that's not true. Folks will retain that sense of humor most often right to the end. I can tell you my mama did. So, you know, still allowing them to be who they are and still participating in life with them, still recognizing that, yeah, they have dementia, but they still probably know who you are. That diagnosis just came through, for heaven's sakes. Yes, all of that's going to change, but for right now, still treat them as you did with the day before their diagnosis. But we also need our folks that are in association with our loved one, caring for friends, family, coworkers, whatever, to understand that change is coming and that who they are today is the same person they were yesterday, but change is coming, that it's gradual, and that we will have to adapt to it, but change is coming, and we want you to be aware of that. But in the meantime, still treat them well. Bring into their world positive vibes. I'm telling you, bring music and art and poetry and prayer and dancing. Sessions of gratitude. What are you thankful for? Let's talk about it. I did a show quite some time ago about forest bathing, experiencing forest bathing. And all of these things are good for you, the caregiver, as well as for the individual with dementia. But forest bathing is that time we spend outside with the grass between our toes, feeling the dirt on the soles of our feet, hugging a tree, sitting under a tree, making contact, physical contact with nature. It's been proven to be extremely good for the nervous system and for reducing anxiety and depression. Just being outside, feeling, not just feeling the sunshine, but physically touching and experiencing nature. It is so good for us. I can tell you, every time that I take my dog outside, as we live here in this tropical climate, I admire the flowers that are in bloom, and I want to touch them. What do they feel like? Is that a rubbery feeling plant? Is that a soft, furry feeling plant? What does it feel like? I just want to touch it. It's pretty neat. My husband goes, "Never wash your hands. You got all that crud all over your hands." But do you know they have discovered that folks who spend time outside barefoot have a better biome, gut biome, a healthier gut biome than folks who never expose themselves to dirt, to nature. People who put their hands in the dirt and plant flowers or grow vegetables or whatever. So spending some time outside. What else can we do for them? Provide for them healthy eating and help to reduce that sugar content that they are experiencing every day. Now, I don't want you to go in and take all the sugar out of their life cold turkey, because you're going to have some unhappy people if you do that. But where can we make changes? What can we reduce? Maybe instead of having cake and pie at supper or at dessert, have peanut butter and sliced apple, or peanut butter and pear. Sprinkle some or stir in some honey, there's my word, into that. That's a wonderful dessert. I know, because my husband and I have this many nights a week, but we do that instead of that nasty, sugary, preserved flour stuff that people eat. Ugh, stuff's going to kill us all. Exercise with your loved one that has just been diagnosed, or no matter where they are in that process, there's still things they can do. If it's just raising their arms barely up and down, or barely in and out, they can still do that unless they're in their very last days. And if they're in their very last days, then we don't need to be worrying about that, do we? Spend time with others, helping their friends to realize one of the best things they can do is to spend time with this person. Like I said, take them bowling, take them to the ball game, go to a play, go to a movie. They can still do so many things, and help them to maintain their spiritual connections for as long as they can. Now, that may mean going to church still, or it may mean you have to sit down and have one-on-one time with them, little private church time, if they get to the point that they can no longer go to church. Be aware of these things. There's things that we can do to help our folks so that there is no stigma attached to Alzheimer's. But there is a stigma attached to being an Alzheimer's caregiver, don't you think? I hadn't even thought about that till I started this episode, and I realized that as being an Alzheimer's caregiver, not everyone, a lot of people, I think, assumed that I had no time for anything else and that I shouldn't be bothered, that all I was doing was taking care of my mama. Well, part of that was true. I was very busy taking care of my mama, and you are understanding that time issue there too. But because of that, it was like, well, let's not invite Carol out to eat. Let's not see if Carol wants to do this because she's got to go see her mama today. Whereas if they had have just said, hey, I know you go see your mom every day, but do you think next Tuesday there is a time that we could get together? I'd like to take you out to lunch, or sure could use your help picking out a new dress. Would you consider going with me? That kind of thing would work wonders for building up myself at that point in my world. And I think it would for most caregivers too, just to say, hey, take a break. Let's go. You and I go do something. Being aware of other people. I'm telling you, the more I do this show, and I've got 300 and some episodes out there, I just realize Good dementia caregiving is just about how to treat people kindly. In our world, I think we've got a long ways to go in that. What do you think? Well, not for you, because you've been watching or listening to Let's Talk Dementia. You've learned all kinds of good junk. You're a good person. Kudos to you. Blessings and smiles on your day.
Let's Talk Dementia would like to thank our sponsors, National Association of Veterans and Families. You can reach them at 800-352-2919, on the internet at www.navf.org. They speak veterans so you don't have to, and you tell them Carol sent you when you call to inquire about benefits for the veteran, the spouse of the veteran, or both. Editor Beth. You can find Ms. Beth Crosby at editorbeth.com. She is amazing at looking at what you've written and making sure it represents you well. Find her at www.editorbeth.com. And HD Imports, located on Flint Street Extension in Rock Hill, South Carolina. That's York County. 803-985-0985. They are there for the repair and maintenance of your Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Kia. Tell them Carol sent you.
Thanks for joining us today for Carol Howell's Let's Talk Dementia. To learn more about dementia, we recommend Carol's best-selling book, also titled Let's Talk Dementia. It's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions. Be sure to like Let's Talk Dementia on Facebook and leave us a kind word of review on iTunes. Remember, knowledge brings power. Power brings hope. Hope brings smiles. And we all need more smiles. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll be right here when you come back to Let's Talk Dementia.